right, what's going on, family? It is August 8th, 2026. This is a weekly recap of the trades that we took this week. Just breaking down the trades that I took, what made me get into the trade, how the trade played out, and yeah, just showing you guys my thought process, how my strategy works, what I've been doing to consistently make money in these markets. So let's go ahead, let's hop right into it, man. The first trade of the week that we took was a sell on NAS Monday, August 3rd. This was the sell idea that we had here. If we go ahead and use a handy dandy replay tool, I'll show you guys exactly what was going on at the time and why I was looking for sell side opportunities, right? So starting here Monday, this indication, this little purple line here is the 6 o'clock window. So this is the start of our New York session. As we can see from London, price has been dropping. It broke this level here, broke this level of structure prior to the London Open, right? So this was the Asian session low, that it broke below. And in the process, it also created another lower low, right? And failed to reach up higher after creating that low. Coming into the New York session, it seems like we're trending down, creating lower highs. So for me, looking on the 5-minute time frame, right, even if we go up to the 15-minute time frame, it looks like price reached a significant high and now it's pushing back down to possibly test these lows down here, right? Or possibly fill in this gap that it created over the weekend, right? So that's basically kind of in a nutshell, right, why I had a sell side bias, right? We've seen that price broke below this level of structure, right? Created this massive engulfing bearish candlestick pattern, came back up, rejected off of the 13 EMA, and continued to push down lower, right? Ideally, I could have gotten to a trade setup like this, but this happened at 6:50 a.m. and I was not awake yet. When price came back up, I was expecting or hoping or wishing for it to come up, hit this sell zone, right? React off of the 50 and then continue to push back down, but we didn't get that, right? We got a failure to reach this level. I'm assuming probably because this area right here that we broke below was probably very, very strong, and price started to tank. Because I did not want to miss my opportunity, I really like the EMAs. I was looking for price to hit this low, react back up, find some kind of resistance here at this new selling area right here, and then push back down. But that's not what price did, right? If we can see, price came up, right? It reacted, and that's what made us get in, right? It reacted. We had this wick rejection, bearish candle, a doji ending on the bearish side, which could say, right, like, hey, we want to continue pushing down. So I took this break of this candle wick here as my entry, right? Even though ideally this would have been my entry at the candle close, but I took that and it immediately went right back into drawdown, right? It wicked me in, got me in, and then it started pushing back up. And not too long after that, right, the trade failed. So it was honestly like a quick setup. Yeah, literally it failed within about like 15 minutes. So it was a quick setup. I'm glad that it failed quickly because not only did I have a pretty decent sized stop loss, right, 27 pips, the fact that it failed quickly, it gave me the opportunity to go look and find something else, right? I would hate for it to kind of stall, keep me in the trade while other trades are happening, and I'm not getting to those other trades because I already leveraged and had my margin here in this trade. So it failed quickly. After it failed, because sometimes that happens, right? Like looking here at this trade, there's no real reason or indication why it could have possibly failed. The only thing that I could think of why it might fail is that we completed filling in this gap, which is also buy slash demand zone right here, right? We do have that here. We do have that here where it reacted very strongly off of, right? But again, we still have gaps down here. We have equal lows, things that it could possibly want to test or at least fill in. So that's why I was like, okay, well, I'm a little bit more adamant for the sell, but this gap forming over the weekend leading to this very strong, this is probably like a 1 hour, 4 hour demand zone. And then the only other thing that I could possibly think of is that we've been selling a lot, right? We've been selling a lot. So it makes sense that it might want to push up and buy. But I didn't really see any gaps or any kind of equal highs or significant highs that I would have thought that it would try and reach. And that's why I was more on the sell side for this trade. But it just didn't work out, right? Which happens. So we let the trade play out. Price wick back down, right? Kind of fooling us again, but we didn't get in. We kind of didn't like how it was kind of creating a bunch of congestion here, right? We noticed these wicks are kind of getting weaker. We're coming to that 830 candle, and look, right? It sold. It actually still did end up selling. So if we did wait a little bit, or if we got maybe a little bit of a higher entry, we probably could have still won this. The only issue is that it's selling coming into the 930 candle, right? The New York Stock Exchange 930 open, there's a lot of news happening, right? It's a little risky holding your trades during that 930 candle, because just as much as it dropped down like crazy, it could have easily pushed back up. If anything, it probably pushed down to test this demand zone to really see if this was strong enough for it to find this new level of support to then now start pushing back up, which from what we see, that's exactly what it started to do next, right? Price found that new support, created this reaction, and then immediately started pushing back up, breaking above these EMAs and showing that we are now at the beginning of hopefully a bullish uptrend, right? So that was pretty much the first setup that we got in for Monday. Now, also on Monday, after that setup failed, right? Where are we here? After that setup failed, we decided that we weren't going to take this L sitting down, and we decided to look for something else. And at the same time, right, luckily enough, gold was setting up for a selling opportunity as well. Originally, when I first came into the market, I probably was looking for these highs to be broken, right, for us to get a reaction going up and then breaking back down. However, right, seeing how price was creating lower lows, right? We had this low, then we had a low that was lower than it, and then we created another low. It was safe to say that we're probably going to be looking for sell opportunities as well, especially with the EMAs trading above candlestick price, right? When I came into the market and I started seeing that price was rallying, pushing up very aggressively after that 720 candle, that's what made me kind of think a little bit for the buy, but I wasn't sold until I actually seen us break here with some strength, find this new level of support, and give us some indication for us to push back up. While that was happening, I was in the NAS trade that failed. So after NAS failed, we saw that gold also failed to create a significant high above this previous high, right? We created this wick rejection, started pushing back down, created this massive bearish engulfing candlestick, broke below the EMAs, indicating for us to keep pushing down, right? However, at that same time process, right, while it was doing that, it created this 15-minute supply. So originally, I wanted to see this price go up and wick that supply and then push back down. This was around 9 o'clock, right, where we get a lot of liquidity, a lot of volume coming into the market. Price found some kind of support level here, right, that wasn't really that strong. It started pushing back up, failed to hit this supply zone, but then we aggressively was reacting off of the 50 and the 13 EMA, pushing back down, and that's what gave me, some confidence to take this for a sell, right? We've been doing a lot of dropping, we've been doing nothing but lower lows. We failed to break above this high. We're reacting and respecting these EMAs. So when I seen price create this massive wick This showed me that even though buyers came into the market, they weren't strong enough to keep pushing up price. Sellers still had the dominant force and they pushed price back down, breaking below this price level, right? The 40-45 level. And that what gave me enough confidence to get in for a sell. And that's all she wrote, right? It sold massively. I think we took it here to this, yeah, about honestly what, a 3 pip stop loss for a 12 pip take profit, a 1 to 4. This is a great risk to reward ratio. We was able to not only make our money back from the NAS trade, but make a little bit more and end off green for Monday. Right? Pretty textbook, right? We get a break of structure going to the downside, coming back up to this key level, reacting off of it, showing us there's some resistance at that key level, and that price wants to continue going in the trend that it already created. Pretty simple stuff here, man. So let's go ahead and get into Tuesday. All right, let's get right back into it. This is NAS, a selling opportunity on Tuesday. Looking at this trade right now, honestly, this was a terrible trade. This wasn't really ideal. Coming into New York session Tuesday morning, we've seen a lot of buying happening in London, right? We failed to break below this significant low that we had during London and this low as well that we had during Asian session, right? We reacted off of this little buying area, right? And we kept pushing back up. However, the reason why I didn't get the buy here is, for whatever reason, I was looking at the 1 minute and looking at the 1 minute, seeing how price rallied up so aggressively, and then we failed to continue pushing back up and we started creating lower lows. It gave me an idea for us to catch this sell opportunity and basically trade price going down to that demand area or potentially the 200 EMA. So I was able to get into, let me see exactly what time was I in. I think I was in at 8:50. So I probably entered right around here, right? Entered right around here because what made me think that this was a good idea is that we seen price, right, making these lower lows, right, breaking below this level of structure, coming back up into this sell zone, right, on the 1 minute, and then we aggressively push price down, right? Very similar to our gold setup that we had the day before. Then when price came back up, it failed to break above these EMAs. We had a cross, and that's probably why I felt confident enough to get in for this sell, right? And what we saw was very quickly the sell happened, and then after that price started reversing, pushing up, and close us out of the trade within about, let's say, 15 to 25 minutes, right? Within about a quarter hour, we were out of the trade with a loss. Now, again, I did think that this was at the high, at like a significant high, and we might want to push down to try and fill in some gaps, right? Give some equilibrium, deliver price on both sides. However, I was looking at the 1 minute, right, which has a lot of fake outs, has a lot of fake setups that could work sometimes, but at the same time, the 1 minute, the levels and the areas aren't strong enough for us to give a lot of confidence when we're trading price action, right? So just like that, it gave us the fake out, and all this really was it finding a new base for it to continue pushing up, and that's exactly what it did. And thank God we had our stop loss, because if we didn't have our stop loss, it could have gotten really bad really quickly. So that was the trade idea for Tuesday. Sell opportunities on NAS that failed, and we see exactly why, right? Trading on a smaller time frame, not looking at the overall bigger trend that's happening, right? Seeing that it was most definitely bullish that day. Luckily enough, right, when we lose on NAS, a lot of times we're able to kind of make our money back on gold, and that's exactly what happened, right? Tuesday we got into a trade on gold after that NAS sell, right? Very similar to Monday, and we were able to make our money back. So Tuesday, this was the gold trade that we entered. Let's see here. Right over here, right at 9:15, after we closed out of our NAS trade, we saw that price coming into the New York session was I'm sorry, hold on. We got into two trades on Tuesday with gold. So this is actually the trade that we got into after the NAS trade. This one right here, right? Coming into the New York session, right? We seen that price during London was overall bullish, but then we started pushing price back down. Once the New York session started, right, we started rallying back up, breaking above these EMAs and trading above it. Right at that 720, 730 window, price broke up above this level of structure, right, showing us that we have strong indication for us to continue pushing up and for price to continue rising. We created this buy zone, right, this little demand area. Price came back down, rallied into it, came back down, selling into it, and then immediately after it got into the zone, it started pushing up, rejecting off of this 13 EMA, and then we had this bullish engulfing candlestick pattern confirming that price most likely wants to continue pushing to this upside. And then from there, right, that's all she wrote. After we got in, after that engulfing bullish candlestick, price continued to push up, and we won for a little bit over a 1-3. So very similar to Monday, we lost on the first NAS setup, but we was able to make our money back on gold. One thing that I'm noticing a lot with my trading is that a lot of times we do be right. It's really just the timing that's kind of off. So I'm going to be practicing coming in this week, being a little bit more patient with the setups, whatever pair it is, whether it's NAS or gold, just because it makes more sense to wait for the perfect entry than for us to kind of get in a little early, get into a losing setup first, and then working to make our money back, right? It's better we kind of be a little bit patient, get into the first setup, the best setup the first time, and then make our money the first time, right? So we could have literally just waited for this, and we could have took this and avoided that NAS setups, because this is perfect. This is textbook. We're getting a break of structure, creating a gap, coming back down, retesting it, and then pushing back up. Now again, right, this doesn't work 100% of the time, but this was an ideal setup that I would take any day of the week. And speaking of that, coming off of this initial win, right, we did see that price gave us another setup here, but at that point we were already satisfied, and we just didn't really want to take the chance of price pushing up and then coming back down and possibly breaking below here, right? So we did mark this up, but we did not get into it, so we could go ahead and delete that off of our chart. But this was still a good setup as well, because we still had that gap, came in, and price immediately started reacting off of it as well. So after that initial win in the morning, right, we decided to trade Asian session that night, and gold gave us another buying opportunity. Honestly, the same exact setup that we had in the morning, right? We had a little bit of selling prior to the session opening. After we had that selling completed, price was starting to push up again above the EMAs. We broke above a key level of structure here, right? And then once we broke above that key level of structure, we also created the gap on the 5-minute. Price came into that gap, reacted off of it, and started pushing back up. This was initially the trade idea that we got into, because we seen price came up, reacted off of it, and then once we broke above this level here, we also failed to push below these EMAs. We reacted off of it, and then we got in right here off of this break. Now what happened during this setup was price came up, it gave us our, this was a little bit over a 1-2, right, a 2-pip stop loss for a 5-pip take profit, and then price came down after already getting us out, right, wicked off that 13 EMA, and then we got in again, and we were able to catch a really big move come Tuesday. I believe we had like about 6-pip stop loss, and we closed it out for a little bit over a 1-2, 15 pips. So yeah, Tuesday was a great day, right? It was a great day because we won 3 times basically on gold, lost 1 time on NAS, but we were able to make our money back and be in profit for the week. So that was Tuesday, and then the rest of the week was pretty quiet. We got into another trade on Wednesday and then another trade on Thursday. And let me go ahead and get to those right now. Okay, here we go. This is the trade idea that we took on NAS Wednesday, August 5th. We took it for buys, and honestly, this was a great trade. This was a great trade. I think what made this trade really great was the fact that we had those 2 experiences on Monday and Tuesday. So we were super patient, right? We were super duper patient with our setup because we noticed that the biggest issue that we've noticed with some of our trades that lose is not even that we're wrong, is that we get in a little too early or we close out of the trade too quickly, right? Those are the 2 things, right? Being impatient. So we had to be patient today, right? Very textbook, right? We seen price come up buying during the London session and then selling right after this 3 a.m. candle. So price started selling going into New York, right? Made a low, right? Found some kind of support and then started pushing back up. At the same time as it started pushing back up, we're breaking above the EMAs and then creating this gap down here. Originally, I wanted to see price come down and tap that gap and then push up and started trading above price. However, we didn't get that. We honestly never got that. Let me see. I got into this trade approximately, let me see here. $8.04. So we got in right around here, right? We got in literally right around here was our starting point, which matches up with, what I like to trade because price came up, we broke above this little minor high, right? And then we also broke above this major high on the 15-minute time frame, right? Broke above it, candle closed above, and then we started pushing back down. Of course, I would like to see it come down and fill it and test this zone, showing us some strength, some resistance, and then pushing back up. However, we never got that, right? Price kept pushing down, and then it reacted off of that 13 EMA and also held off of the 50 EMA. So we got in. We were like, you know what? This is not too bad. It's a 33 pip stop loss. Again, like I'm willing to take that because at the end of the day, we got it reacting off the 13 EMA and we had that 50 EMA as support. If it does break below it, we can just get in again and make our money, right? So we got in, price came up, and then about 5 minutes later, price started shooting down towards our stop loss. And we held the trade the whole entire time, guys. We were in the trade the whole entire time. Price came about a pip away from our stop loss and then started pushing back up. And we kept holding because at the end of the day, if it's reacting off of these 13 EMAs and reacting off of this 50 EMA, that's pretty strong, right? That's saying that the average price wants to trade above these, and this is where our stop loss is. So hopefully enough in the next couple of minutes with more volume, we can get price to push up. And man, we were in the trade from what, 805, 815 all the way to our like 920 until it actually started making its move. So price started pushing back up. We held. It pushed down again, and then right at that 925 candle, price shot up, and we won our trade within about 10 minutes after being in it for about 30 minutes. That's how trading works, man. That's really how trading works. It's crazy. It's honestly really crazy. This was a really good trading day just because we stayed disciplined. We stayed in the game. You know what I'm saying? We didn't close our trade early, which a lot of times we do. Like if we see price breaking above these lows, we will close out. But we've noticed a lot of times price likes to test these lows and then react up and keep pushing up. So sometimes it really has to be stop loss or take profit. And in this particular case on Wednesday, it was take profit. So that was our NAS setup. Now for our last setup of the week was another buy on NAS coming into Thursday, right? Where were we? This is Friday. Let's see here. Let me double check, make sure reading this correctly. Oh no, I am sorry. It was a sell on NAS. It was a sell on NAS. Okay. And that happened at approximately 8:04. That was actually an early trade come Thursday. It was, let me see. Oh, that's when we got out of the trade. Okay, here we are. We got into the trade at 7:48. Yep, so it was this trade right here. And man, I'm telling you, at this point, this is becoming textbook. We're seeing price sell during London session, right? Creating these lower lows, right? We created a supply zone gap here, right? That we respected, right? We respected it and we massively shot down, breaking below these key levels and these structures. So once price broke down, we started rallying back up into another 5-minute zone, right? And then once we rallied up into that 5-minute zone, we reacted off of it, started pushing and breaking below the 50, pushing, breaking below the 13 EMA. And this was our trade idea. We actually kind of got a little, not the greatest entry point, but we wanted to make sure we didn't miss it. So we took a 40 pip stop loss for an 88 pip take profit, man. And I'm telling you, actually, we hit it like right here. We hit it at 84. We hit it at 84 because price started pushing back up. And we were kind of satisfied, but then price kept selling. But we were already out of the trade at this point, right? This was perfect. Honestly, this was the best trade that we probably took the whole week, just because there was very little to no drawdown. We were in the trade for about 20-30 minutes tops, no drawdown, and it was perfect. This actually happened really early into the session, happened at 7:45, when usually a lot of our trades are happening after 8 o'clock. The reason I assume that this happened so early is because we had news at 8:30. It didn't really do too much to the market besides push it down, but we're also trading during NFP week, right? That's something to keep in mind, that when you're trading during NFP, you want to be a little bit more careful. You want to be looking to take your profits early, preferably, and moving your stop loss, like with like some urgency, if that makes sense, right? With let's say some intentionality, right? You want to be intentional when you're moving your stop loss, because you don't want to move your stop loss too early. You get wicked out because of all the volume, and then you miss the trade. And at the same time, you don't want to have such a big stop loss that you're taking an unnecessary big hit, in the hopes of trying to let the trade breathe, right? So this was great, right? We broke below this low, came up, had a gap, filled in the gap, and started pushing price back down. And that's all she wrote, man. It was a really good way to end the week, right? We stopped trading Thursday, just due to the fact that Friday was NFP day, so a lot of news was being released, so there would be no point in us trading Friday. And then also Thursday night would have been a good idea or a good time to trade. However, we already made a good amount of money for the week, so there was no point in us trying to trade Thursday as well and potentially give back some profits. Looking now, it doesn't. All right, chat. Sorry about that. My computer is running out of memory, apparently, so I had to kind of delete a couple of things. But yeah, man, just to kind of wrap up everything, I think it was definitely smart we didn't trade on Thursday, just due to the fact when it comes to trading, right? You have to understand it's a numbers game, right? It's probabilities. If you win 6 times in a row, there's a strong chance that the next 2-3 trades could be possible losers. So you might want to take a pause, step back, recalibrate, right? Regroup, review the trades that you took, so you could be in a better mindset and perspective for the next one. And you also don't want to make so much that you get on like some kind of crazy win streak that your ego get too big, and then you might lose everything that you had. And that's kind of where my mindset was after Thursday morning, right? Winning on Wednesday 2 times, winning on Tuesday, and then also winning Thursday morning, like really big. It was like, well, I'm kind of satisfied for the week. No need for me to trade Thursday night, and I'm glad that I didn't, because looking here, it didn't really seem like it gave us anything anyway. So I might have had to try and force something, which could have led to me giving back profit. So a lot of times you got to use your intuition, stick to what you know and what you say you're going to do. So with that being said, that is the end of this weekly trading recap. Hope you were able to learn something, kind of get an insight on my thought process. If you are interested in learning more, learning exactly how I trade, how I do my top-down analysis, what I'm looking for when I'm trading, feel free to send me a message on Instagram. Click the link in the description, join the Discord. That's free. You can send me a message through there as well. And yeah, maybe we could get on a Teams call or something. I can answer whatever questions that you have and get you on the way to trading if that is something that you are serious on doing. And the reason why I say serious is that we're going to be making serious money. We can't be playing no games in these markets. You feel me? So with that being said, until the next video, it's your boy Hugh Huncho, and I'm out.